Alright, hey guys, what's up? I'm back with another video game review, and today, got a good one for you today. Today I'm going to be reviewing the second installment in the Pikmin series, Pikmin 2. Also for the GameCube, but just like the first one, I was able to emulate it onto this great PC, and yeah, here we go. So, can I just say that this game is a huge step up from Pikmin 1. There's the same types of Pikmin. Olimar comes back. His ship is crashed. But the fact of the matter is that this game is amazing, compared to Pikmin 1 at least. I remember reading before I actually started playing the game that the purple Pikmin would carry you throughout the game. I'm like, great, I can't wait to unlock these things. It's going to be great. But I figured out that actually, you can't, they don't have an onion. And that's something that both the first game and the third game don't do. All the Pikmin in both of those games come in onions, and they have their own onions to be able to reproduce. Purple and the other new type of Pikmin in this game, white Pikmin, don't have that. And it's really weird. I don't think it's very that good. Because then you have to store them in the ship, and it's complicated to get them out. I just don't like that aspect of it, but the white Pikmin for me, they weren't really useful at all, except for getting into certain spots. Now, if they die, they give off a poison that insta-kills whatever killed them, so that's good, but the thing is, right, that they don't come in large quantities. They don't come in onions. They come in flowers in these caves. Another big part of Pikmin 2 is these caves that, hold on. I picked up RC Cola last night at work. It's like the one big pop that I've never tried. It's pretty good. It's just regular Coca-Cola, but whatever. It's pretty good. Okay, back on topic. This is the other big aspect is caves. You find these areas in the different worlds, and you go into caves. And the caves themselves, I like that they don't eat up daytime. I like that. That's a good thing. Because some of these are very long, very complicated, and they can very be detrimental on your Pikmin populations as well, which is necessary. There's a lot of bosses in there. And I should mention that the whole aspect of this game is getting Olimar's former boss out of debt. And that's the whole reason why he went there in the first game. And the second game, he's out of debt when he comes back. So now he's got to go and like collect things to pay off the debt. Which is really weird. I don't know why they chose to go that route, but okay. Fruits come back as well, I should mention. They're not usable for sustenance. Food is not an issue in this game, just like in the first one. But they do give you money. There's bosses. A lot of the same bosses come back in different forms. The bosses themselves are very relentless, just like they were in the first game. They don't try and fight off the Pikmin. They just eat as many as they possibly can, no matter if it's going to kill them or not, which is really, really dumb, and it really pisses me off. But there's some new bosses as well. That nectar, like the super nectar that makes them like charge up, that comes back. And but going back to the flowers, you throw Pikmin in and they bring out the new kind. It's in all three games, but in this one it's even more prominent because that's the only way you can get the white and the purple Pikmin. So usually I would throw reds in there because reds are usually ones I have the most of. And really, other than a few spots in caves, they're not that useful. They are pretty good for attacking, but again, that's pretty much it. They're just a generic Pikmin, and you can get lots of them. So I throw those in, but you can only do 5 at a time. For either one, it doesn't matter. Which is really, really bad. It's stupid. It sucks, but so that's why when they die, it's bad because it's really bad. It's not just like normal bad, it's like really, really bad because you can't get them back, and that really sucks. But it's whatever. I mean, they are really good. I will admit that people saying that purple Pikmin are really good, they are really, really good. They pack a huge punch, and they weigh as much as 10 Pikmin, so they don't need as many to lift heavy objects and do certain things. But what that does give them the ability to do is to make things absurdly heavy to carry. It's like some of them you require 150, 200 Pikmin to carry when you can only have 100 on the floor at a time, and that is so dumb. But they get away with it by being able to do purple Pikmin weighing 10, which is nice. And here's another thing that I figured out right off the bat of starting this game. Product placement. With the ability to grab materials and use them as money to get a company out of debt, they can opens the door for so much product placement. There's no product placement in the first game. Very little, if any, there's very little, if any, in the first game. Next to nothing in the third game, as far as product placement goes. But like the first world, at the crash landing site, there's a Duracell battery. Why don't you just use a regular battery? Why does it have to be Duracell? Like, you that bad for money, Nintendo? It was 2004. I mean, you weren't in that bad of a spot. I'm sure the GameCube tanked, but I mean, you had the Wii coming out and the DS that just came out. Like, did you need that Duracell product placement? Like 7-Up, and there was even there was a tobacco product placement. At least I think it was. Looked like a cigarette case. It's 2004. It's a kid game. What are you doing? And it's that just baffled me how much product placement there was. And going back to the caves with all these different items like bottle caps and batteries and all sorts of stuff, and the enemies in this are just super stupid. They kill anything. They're everywhere too, and there's like some of these. You really have to be strategic with. You really have to know what is expected coming in to each of these caves, because otherwise you're going to lose a lot of Pikmin. And these puzzles in these games were pretty difficult, and that's a good challenge, but it's also a little infuriating, which is okay. I should also mention Louie. You get to do multitasking with two people, and that's what I really missed from the first game, and I'm glad that they decided to do that for the second game, and I'm glad they even emphasized it more in the third game. There, you can play the story mode in multiplayer though, which is cool. You can't do that in the first or third games, which is really nice. But I mean, other than that, I mean, Louis himself is okay. There's this like a little annoying robot on the top of the ship that gives like tips and pointers, and it's really, really annoying because it stops you every like 5 seconds to give you a tip. And Olimar doesn't remember Jack from the first game, probably because he died, at least in my Pikmin timeline. But and then also in these caves, they bring back sort of bosses. They're really most of them you don't have to go through. Some of them you do. I remember one that you did have to go through, and it massacred like half my Pikmin to get out of caves and stuff. They're not really that hard, especially with purple Pikmin. Even with regular Pikmin, they're not that hard. But they are kind of there. They're like the mini bosses, like ones you don't have to do, but ones that are harder and give you better loot as a result, which is nice. And there's like a bunch of other different puzzles and stuff that come from the game. And overall, it's got a lot. It's more complex. It gives a lot more challenge, and it gives a lot more rewards. And there's a lot more to explore and do. And there's a map. I figured out they have a map in this game. Hallelujah, they have a map. Also, like control data, implants, and stuff. You can kind of see it is a good bridge between the first game, which was just a base game to develop, and the third game, which is definitely the most advanced. There's all the different aspects put into it. So that's nice. I'd say it's definitely a step up from Pikmin 1, but I definitely think Pikmin 3 is better, if you watched, the videos. But, so for my final score, I'm going to give this game, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Actually, no, I'm going to give it a 9. 9 out of 10. How do I count? There we go. 9. 9 out of 10, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so there we go. That's my review of Pikmin 2. I've played now all 3 Pikmin games. And so now I want to make a little prediction here. So Pikmin 1 was about rebuilding a ship so he could fly home. Pikmin 2 is about getting a multi-million-dollar corporation out of debt because of their own self-greed, and they're exploiting their employees in order to try and make more money. And the third game was literally to feed a planet. 3 completely different missions and 3 completely different storylines, all for the same game storyline. So I have a prediction for what Pikmin 4 will look like, if there even is a Pikmin 4, and I hope to God there is one, because I'm going to play it, I'm going to pre-order, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to play that game. Whenever it comes out. I'm probably going to be for the next Nintendo system anyway, so here's my prediction though. So it's going to be a civil war between the Hocotates, I think that's what they're called, Hocotates, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, and then Copites. There's going to be a civil war over whether fruits or vegetables are better, okay? Because Hocotates eat vegetables, Copites eat fruit. They are going to then recruit Pikmin as their armies. They're literally going to go onto these planets, kidnap these Pikmin, and train them to fight each other in armies. And you are going to be the one that picks whether you want to be on the Hocotate side with Olimar or on the Copite side with Alfie, Charlie, and Brittany and all of them. And you will then go on to planets, recruit these Pikmin, train them up, and then fight them in an all-out battle to the death. That is my prediction for Pikmin 4, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Because there's no way that they're going to not bring these guys back, right? It just can't happen. And seeing how varying and wild these last 3 have been, only makes sense that that one is the randomest one. What are your predictions now for Pikmin 4? And what do you think of Pikmin 2? 1, 3, all of them. I want to hear in the comments down below. And until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.